Hey friends, tonight we're diving into the dark and risky world of medieval assassins. The people who snuck through castle halls or dark alleys to change history with a single blade and a quiet step. Movies often make them look cool and mysterious, but honestly, being a medieval assassin was a terrible and dangerous life. Before we get started, make sure to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. Also, tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you. I love seeing how far this little cozy corner of history reaches. Now, dim your lights. Maybe turn on a fan for a soft hum in the background. Let's gently step into tonight's story. Let's get one thing straight. No one in medieval times woke up saying, "I'd love to sneak into a castle and stab a rich guy for a few silver coins." Becoming an assassin wasn't a dream job. It was something people turned to when everything else in life had gone wrong. Most assassins weren't secret ninjas trained in far-off temples. They were poor farmers, ex-soldiers, or people living on the edge of society with nothing to lose. If you had money or land, you didn't become an assassin. You paid someone else to do it. But if you were just out of jail, known for solving problems quietly, and could walk into a tavern without being noticed, well, someone might slip you a bag of coins and whisper a name. And it wasn't going to be a quiet farmer. It was usually someone powerful and dangerous, like a corrupt noble or a rich bishop, protected by gods and walls. The job was scary, but if someone said yes to it, they were probably desperate. The worst part: no job benefits, no rest days, no medals or thank you speeches. You couldn't go around telling people what you did. You had to stay quiet, move fast, and keep your mouth shut. Most told people they were carpet sellers or traveling peddlers. And if someone asked about those red stains, just say it's wine. Definitely wine. No one wanted to be a medieval assassin. Life just pushed them into that corner, left with a rusty knife, a dark cloak, and a lot of silence. They weren't the heroes. They weren't even the villains. They were just the forgotten names in the shadows, and most didn't live long enough to spend the coins they earned. Let's clear up another myth. Medieval assassins didn't train in secret monasteries with wise old teachers and flute music playing in the background. There were no official classes, no books, no lessons. You learned the hard way, by not dying the first few times you tried. Most weren't trained. They were just fast, quiet, and lucky. If you had been in the army, maybe you knew how to hold a knife. If not, well, stabbing is easy. Escaping afterward, not so much. There were no guides, no checklists, and definitely no friendly advice on how to sneak past guards. You figured it out while climbing into windows and hoping you weren't in the cook's room by mistake and poison. That was a whole guessing game. Sometimes it worked, other times your target just felt dizzy, or you drank the wrong cup by mistake. If you were very lucky, you might have learned a trick or two from a thief or older assassin. But these guys didn't exactly hold workshops most of the time. They didn't live long enough to teach anyone. You didn't carry big swords, just a knife, maybe a thin wire, and whatever you could hide under your clothes without making noise. So no, you weren't some cool martial arts expert. You were someone with quiet shoes, rough hands, and a habit of hiding in dark corners. Your success didn't come from training. It came from learning on the job. One bloody mess at a time. You didn't graduate from anything. You just stayed alive. One day at a time. That's just the start of why anyone would choose this life. A life full of danger, fear, and shadows. So Why become an assassin in the first place? One word: money. Cold, heavy, shiny coins that clink in your hand and feel like hope. That's what pulled you into this life. But the truth, you didn't get paid what you were promised. You got paid in lies.c. When someone hires an assassin, they're not looking to build a relationship. They don't want to see you again. They want one job, done in secret. No mess, no trace, and preferably no witnesses, including you. They hand over a little silver half-now, half when it's done. Sounds fair, right? But here's the problem. When it's done really means only if you do everything perfectly. Leave no trail. Don't embarrass them. And definitely don't survive long enough to talk. Because dead assassins don't talk. So you do the job. You sneak in quietly, risk your life. Maybe take out a baron while he sleeps. No glory. No drama. Just quick, silent death. And when you return for the rest of your money, surprise the clients vanished. Oh no, so sorry. They left town, or worse, they tried to kill you. Because a knife in your back is cheaper than paying your fee. And even when you did get paid, it was never enough. Not for the danger, not for the guilt, not for spending 3 days hiding in a scratchy haystack with fleas and regrets. All you get is a few dirty corns, a nod. And a reminder, you were never here. Here's a fun twist: some jobs weren't real. They were setups, political traps. They'd send you to kill someone important. But it was all a trick. Your target would be a decor, surrounded by guards, and you just walked straight into it. Welcome. There's a noose waiting with your name on it. And even when the job was real. What could you do if they cheated you? Go to court. Tell her, judge, you want to sue Lord Edmund because he didn't pay his assassin. Good luck. The only courtroom you'd see was the one deciding how to hang you, so you learned fast. Take the money up front. Trust no one. Not even the guy who swore this job would change your life. Because it did, just not in the way you hoped. Usually, it just shortened it. Being an assassin meant living on broken promises and disappearing before they could break you. And even after all that, after being tricked, cheated, and hunted, there was still the matter of your gear. Forget what you've seen in games and fantasy shows. There were no hidden blades, smoke bombs, or magic weapons. You used whatever you could carry, steal, or sharpen. That was it, if you were really lucky. You had a decent dagger, nothing fancy, just sharp and not too rusty. Poison existed, but it was messy and unreliable, made from plants, rocks, or sometimes toads. It could kill in minutes or just give someone a stomachache for 2 days. Maybe they'd survive and just stop eating soup altogether. Ropes, handy-if. You knew how to use them fast. One wrong knot and suddenly your silent take-down turns into a very loud mess. Bows worked too, but only if you were skilled, had one, and didn't mind dragging it into a castle disguised as a flower pot. Most of your kills, up close and personal, no time for fancy tricks. Just get in, get it done, and hope the blood doesn't make you slip. If your weapon broke, you improvised. Roof tile, rusty nail, a spoon with sharp edges, whatever worked to you. Kept your tools hidden under your clothes or tucked in boots. Not for show, for survival. Your weapon wasn't just for defense. It was your boss, your best friend, and your entire retirement plan. No upgrades, no maintenance. Just hope it worked when you needed it most. Because in the end, it wasn't the blade that made the kill, it was you, scared, desperate, alone, and expected to pull off miracles with nothing but bad luck and a borrowed knife And here's the thing. You weren't hired to take out some drunk in the back alley. No one paid you to stab Jeff the Candle Guy. Your targets were high-ranking. Nobles, bishops, military leaders, sometimes even royals. Important people, powerful people, and that meant trouble. They had guards. Not two, dozens, all armed, all ready. Some outside, some inside, some just standing round looking terrifying, daring you to flinch. You had to spend days learning their patterns, counting footsteps, noting when the night guard with the wheeze needed a rest halfway up the stairs. Then came the castles. No front doors here, just giant gates, hidden traps, and moats full of who knows what. And even if you got across, you still had to deal with boiling oil. Yes, actual boiling oil. Your JOB description included may get fried for peeking. And let's not forget the servants, cooks, scribes, stable boys. A weird look or the wrong wood, and they'd be whispering to the guard before you even finished saying, "I'm just the herbalist." Assassins didn't just dodge swords, they dodged rumors and medieval gossip. It moved fast, faster than arrows if it meant saving someone's neck. Finally, your target, the person you were actually there to kill, was always paranoid. For good reason. They were surrounded by enemies, relatives wanting their title, and fake friends with sharp smiles. These people didn't eat or sleep without checking twice. Getting to them. Nearly impossible. They didn't sleep peacefully. Many locked their doors with up to 3 bolts. Some even use fake beds or changed sleeping rooms every night. Like a dangerous game of musical chairs. And if you thought a feast was the perfect time to strike, think again. Sure, they might be drunk, but so would you. You'd still have to sneak past royal guards, sever old dogs, a sharp high jester, and dozens of guests waving round heavy mugs. Getting close to your target could take days or even weeks. You might pose as a servant, bribe someone from the household staff, or spend hours hiding inside a barrel. And when your moment finally came, you had just one chance, one perfect, quiet, clean moment to strike and vanish, fail. And you'd be hanging from the castle gates the next morning with a sign that read, "Nice try. Let's be real." When people imagine a medieval assassin, they picture a mysterious figure in black robes with leather gloves and a flowing hood. But in truth, you probably looked like a sick goat herder trying to stay unnoticed. Disguises weren't stylish or well made. You wore whatever you could find: ragged clothes, a monk's robe to sizes too big, or a guard's old uniform that still smelled like sweat. The goal was to blend in. But blending in meant looking like everyone else and washed, limping, and exhausted. You didn't look odd because of your cloak, you looked odd because you kept adjusting your belt to hide a dagger wrapped in a cloth. As for masks, forget it. Face coverings made you look diseased. Good for being left alone, but not great if you wanted to attend a party. If someone asked who you were, you had to think fast. "I'm Brother Tobias, here for rooftop repairs and quiet prayer." Even if you slipped past the guards, noble houses were full of smart servants. If you spilled a chamber pot or didn't know the cook's name, someone would notice. And if your disguise worked, well done, but now you had to stay in character for hours while pretending not to notice everyone you were supposed to avoid. There were no wigs. If you needed to look older or younger, you rubbed dirt on your face, or hoped your fake beard stayed on. Your disguise didn't keep you safe. At best, it gave you a short head start. If someone saw through it, you were in trouble, especially if you were caught in the wrong room, dressed as a nun, holding a sword. On a holiday. In the Middle Ages, assassins worked alone. No team, no sidekick, no wise mentor with potions and scrolls. Just you, your weapon, and a long list of things to worry about. Assassins' guilds. Mostly just tavern rumors. Real assassins didn't meet up to trade tips. They avoided each other. Why? Because the fewer people who knew your name, the longer you lived, even your client might not know who you really were. And if they did, you were already planning your escape. Having friends or lovers, that was too risky. They'd notice things like the bruises, the blood, or why you always slept with a knife. If you made one mistake, if someone recognized you in the market, it was all over. Even other criminals stayed away from you. Thieves and smugglers had friends. Assassins had silence. People feared you or saw you as someone who might bring trouble. No one wanted to share stew with a person whose job attracted torch-waving mobs, and you couldn't talk about it. Not even the nightmares. If you told someone about killing a corrupt bishop in the dark, they'd either think you were lying, or run away from you, so you kept your stories, your scars, and your dagger to yourself. You sat in the darkest corner of the inn, back to the wall, eyes on the door. You never drank too much. You never stayed long. You gave a name only if someone paid for it, and even then, it probably wasn't your real one. Being a medieval assassin meant learning how to disappear, not just into crowds, but from entire lives you could never have. You planned everything: your route, your bribes, your disguise. Maybe you were dressed as a chimney sweep. Then, at the moment of truth, you froze. Maybe the target turned round. Maybe they were with their child. Maybe your hand started to shake, and now you're dead. Because failure didn't mean a slap on the wrist. It meant a painful, public, and dramatic execution with ropes, flames, or iron-tooled name things, like the bone cracker's delight. If your target lived, they told everyone what you looked like. Soon, your description was on every wall, and those guards you avoided. Now they really wanted to find you. Sometimes the worst part wasn't your target, it was your client. If you failed, they'd want you gone before you could be questioned. No second chances, no retries. You had one shot, one moment. If you missed it, the best thing that could happen was a quick death. The worst, everyone knowing your name. You could have done 12 jobs before this. No one cared. In this world, you are only as good as your last success, and if your last job failed, you started running. But let's say it worked. Your dagger struck. No noise, no guards, just silence. Congratulations, now run. Because success didn't mean sitting on a rooftop sipping wine. It meant racing through dark alleys, blood on your boots, and a guard dog following your scent. You didn't get to relax. You didn't get a thank you. You didn't even get time to breathe. Your escape plan had to be ready. Backup disguises, secret exits, maybe even a friendly boatman who didn't ask questions. Because once the city knew what happened, the gates would lock, the soldiers would gather, and your picture would be everywhere. Daughters for your client. They probably vanished too. A successful assassin was the most dangerous person alive. You'd proven you could get into impossible places. Now no one trusted you, not even the person who paid you. So what did you get? A few coins, a week of hiding, pretending to be a monk, sleeping in hay barns, changing your name again. Because survival didn't mean peace. It meant starting over again, even if you escaped. You still had to deal with the fear. In medieval times, people thought assassins were cursed. Not just killers, but people who made deals with spirits or demons. Why else could you disappear so easily? Logic didn't matter. Superstition did. Some thought assassins could shapeshift. Others believed you could become invisible or poison people by whispering through walls at you. weren't just feared you, were hated. Imagine walking through a village and hearing someone say, "Don't look him in the eyes. That's the one who breathes death." They didn't sleep peacefully. Many locked their doors with 3 bolts. Some slept in fake beds. And others changed rooms, often like a deadly game of musical chairs. Don't be fooled if you heard. They were at a feast, sure, they'd be drinking. But so would you, and you'd still have to get past royal guards, 3 dogs, a sharp-eyed jester, and 50 drunk guests waving mugs. Just getting near your target could take weeks posing as a servant, bribing someone, or hiding in barrels. When the moment finally came, you had one chance, one clean, silent moment, or you'd be the next poor soul hanging from the castle gate with a sign that read, "Nice try." Let's face it, when you think of a medieval assassin, you picture sleek outfits and cool hoods. Reality, you looked more like a sick shepherd with something to hide. Disguises weren't stylish. You wore whatever you could scavenge: ragged clothes, a robe too big, or a guard's old uniform that still smelled terrible. Blending in meant looking like every other dirty, limping peasant. People didn't notice your cloak, they noticed. You constantly adjusting your belt to hide a dagger. Masks, no such luck. If you covered your face, you looked like someone with the plague. Great for avoiding questions, terrible for getting inside. If someone asked who you were, you had to lie fast. "I'm Brother Tobias, I fix roofs and pray silently." And even if you got past the guards, servants noticed new faces, especially ones who didn't know the cat's name or drop chamber pots. When I've never seen you before and you were toast, even if your disguise worked. Now, you had to act normal for hours while pretending not to see all the perfect targets round. Wigs didn't exist. Want to look older or younger? Rub dirt on your face, squint, and pray. Your disguise didn't protect you, it bought 5 minutes of confusion. After that, you had to disappear. Be convincing, or both, if someone caught on. No one wants to be found hiding in a laundry room dressed as a nun with a sword. Especially not on a feast day. Medieval assassins didn't have teams. No crossbow buddy. No smart alchemist. No secret lair. Just you, a rusty dagger, trust issues, guilt, maybe. But mostly rumors told over ale. You were more likely to meet a ghost than a fellow assassin willing to network. Why the loneliness? Because secrets keep you alive. Fewer people who knew you meant fewer people to betray you. Even your client might not know your name, and if they did, you were already thinking about how to vanish. Friends. Friends ask questions. Lovers notice bruises, bloodstains. And why you always sleep with a knife. You couldn't settle down, or let your guard down. One mistake, one person recognizing you, and you're running for your life again. Even other criminals avoided you. Smugglers and thieves liked company. You were the guy who made people disappear. Too scary or too risky. No one shared stew with someone who might bring angry villagers with pitchforks. No sympathy either. You couldn't vent about the stress of strangling a corrupt bishop. If you talked, people thought you were lying or dangerous, and they weren't wrong. So you stayed quiet, alone, always watching. At inns, you sat in the darkest corner, back to the wall, never drinking too much or staying too long. You never shared your real name unless paid, and even then, it wasn't real. Being an assassin meant mastering the art of vanishing from society, from history, from life. Imagine this. You took the job. You planned it all. You got in close, and then your hand shook. Maybe they turned suddenly. Maybe they were with their kid. Or maybe fear hit, and you froze. Guess what? You are now dead. Failure didn't mean a scolding. It meant torture, fire. and being executed in public with something sharp, hot, or horrible. You messed up. Your target lived and now they're alert. Guards are on high alert. And your client, they might want you gone now too. You had one shot. No second chances. Fail. And the best you could hope for was a quick death before someone found out hired you. You didn't just fail the mission, you failed at disappearing. Assassins needed to be perfect. Anything less, that painted a big target on your back, even if you'd succeeded in the past. No one cared. In this line of work, you are only as good as your last kill. Now let's say it went right. You made the kill. Silent. Clean. Congrats. Now run. You've just become the most hunted person alive. No celebration. No rooftop toast. You ran through alleys with blood on your boots and dogs on your trail. You had to escape the city fast before lockdown. Before guards sealed gates and spread your sketch round. Even your client wasn't safe. They'd disappear too. Because now, you were a liability. You knew too much. That made you dangerous. Success didn't mean safety. It meant starting over new city. New name. More people watching. You got paid, sure. But also, a big target. On your back. And if being poor and hunted wasn't bad enough, people believed you were cursed. To peasants, you weren't just a killer, you were something unnatural. A demon whisperer. A frog bloodstirrer. Even your tools were scary. A dagger, cursed. Poison. Witchcraft. People didn't fear you, they wanted to burn you. You weren't mysterious. You were terrifying. Someone died nearby. Illness. Accident, someone whispered. Maybe it was him. Suddenly, the local priest is ringing. A bell and farmers are holding pitchforks. If you had herbs, weird corns, or a strange accent, that's all it took. You were a sorcerer, like the torches, in a world full of superstition. Being too quiet or too clever was dangerous, and danger meant death. Usually fire. Yes, poison. Quiet, clean, elegant, in theory. In practice. Total chaos. No science. Just wild herbs, mushrooms, or crushed sparks. You'd mix it by guesswork and hope. Too little. Your target pukes and becomes more paranoid. Too much. You die before dinner. Getting poison into food. Also a nightmare. Medieval. Kitchens were hectic. You'd have to bribe someone or sneak in. And if your target was a noble, good luck. Food went through tasters, blessings, even dogs. Yes, dogs tasted food too, assuming it worked. Poisons were slow and random, as all were. These, the victim might collapse or just get grumpy. And if they survived, you were blamed. Not the cook. You, the weird guy with knowledge of herbs. Poison wasn't efficient. It was risky, unpredictable, and deadly for you if you did pull off something. Big killed a tyrant, broke a dynasty, would people remember you? Nope. You were never meant to be remembered. At best, you were a rumor, a hooded figure, a whisper. You didn't get credit. Your client wanted secrecy. The fewer people who knew, the safer they were. So your name vanished. You didn't brag. You didn't keep trophies. You didn't exist. If someone knew your name, that was a problem. And problems got silenced. No honor. No medals. No statues. Maybe a box. Maybe a spike. If your name was remembered, it was to be cursed. You became a ghost. A warning. Success didn't earn you fame. It erased you. And if you survived all that, congrats. Now you had to trust your client. Bad idea. They didn't hire you out of friendship. They needed a mess cleaned up. Now that it's done, you're dangerous. They might deny hiring you, or send someone else to tie up loose ends. Sometimes They even hired 2 assassins, one for the job. One to kill the first, if you tried to blackmail them. Big mistake. Powerful people crushed threats. Even if you got paid, you lived in fear, watching your back, wondering if someone was memorizing your walk. Success didn't bring safety. It made you a bigger threat. Let's pretend you beat all the odds. You lived. You outlasted enemies, clients. Betrayal. Now what? Retirement. Forget it. Assassins didn't get quiet endings. No seaside cottages. No pensions. You either disappeared or died. You had too many secrets. Too much blood on your hands. People didn't want you retired. They wanted you erased. Even if no one came after you, you always feared someone would. A new assassin, a new contract, a name from the past dash you dots, so you moved again, changed your name. Pretended to be a observer or a tired old guard, but you didn't sleep well. You kept a blade nearby. You flinched at knocks. You couldn't trust anyone, not even yourself. You stopped dreaming. You stopped laughing. You lived like a ghost pretending to be a man. There was no ending for you, just a slow fade into shadow, always watching, always waiting, until one day you vanished, and no one noticed. Macedon was not an easy place to enter. It was a land full of strength and dreams, where kings were killed by family, and brothers became enemies overnight. But Olympias, a priestess from Epirus, walked in with her head high and her eyes already on the crown. Her marriage to Philip was rough from the beginning. Though Philip was smart in politics, he was not meant to love only one woman. He would marry again and again, sometimes for power, sometimes for peace. But Olympias was not the type to hide in the background. She had her own court, made her own friends, and was known for asking oracles and doing sacred rites to learn about her future. And maybe Philip's too. Then came the birth of Alexander. Even that moment was filled with magic, some stories. The Olympias dreamed that lightning hit her belly and that fire danced round her baby without burning him. Philip, they say, had a dream of sealing a womb with a lion. Yes, a real lion. Whether they truly believed this or made it up, they treated Alexander like he was meant to rule not just one land, but the whole world. But while people cheered for the child, the marriage got worse. Olympias disliked Philip's many wives, but she hated one in particular, a Macedonian woman named Cleopatra Eurydice, whom he married later in life. This wasn't just about jealousy. It was a real danger. Cleopatra was Macedonian by birth, and any son she had would be seen as more pure by the local nobles. That meant Alexander's future as king was now at risk. Olympias saw this clearly. The palace wasn't just a home. It was a war zone, and she would use every snake, every dream, every whisper to make sure her son didn't just get remembered, but crowned. She was no longer called Myrtle. She was Olympias now. And no one would take her son's throne without facing her age. By the time Alexander was a teen, the royal palace in Pella had turned into a battleground of soft insults, secret plans, and angry rivalries. Olympias wasn't just trying to stay important. She was trying to stay alive. She knew the court was full of snakes, but she was the one who had taught them how to bite. Philip started to pull away from her. He spent more time at war, drank more, and worst of all, listened more to his Macedonian friends. The worst moment came when he married the young noble woman Cleopatra Eurydice, not the Egyptian Cleopatra. This new Cleopatra was from Macedonia, and her uncle, Attalus, was one of Philip's top generals. To Olympias, this wasn't just an insult. It was war. The wedding feast turned ugly. Attalus, drunk, mocked Olympias and Alexander, saying Alexander might not even be Philip's real son. Maybe. He joked he was the son of a god, like Olympias claimed. It was said to hurt them, but Olympias held onto that story. Let them whisper. Let them think her son was touched by Zeus. That made him untouchable. Alexander left the feast in anger. Olympias left Macedon completely, going back to Epirus. But this wasn't defeat. It was a smart move. She was still royalty in her homeland. She could speak quietly to the right people and wait while Philip's palace slowly started falling apart. She didn't need to be inside the palace to be dangerous. Then came the shock. Philip was killed at his daughter's wedding, right as he was about to invade Persia and call himself more than a king, maybe even an emperor. The halls of the palace were filled with whispers. Who did it? Was it the angry bodyguard Posinius who carried out the murder? Was it a secret plan in the court? Was it Alexander himself? All whisper it. Was it Olympias? No one could prove it. No one did. But many believed it. Just days later, Cleopatra, Eurydice, and her baby were dead. Many said Olympias killed them. The serpent had returned. And now, no one stood between her son and the throne. With Philip gone and Macedon in mourning, Olympias acted first. While others were confused, she was quick, fierce, and sure. First, Cleopatra Eurydice was removed. Some say Olympias forced her to hang herself after watching her baby be murdered. Others say she had the baby thrown to its death. Either way, no mercy was shown. Olympias knew what other mothers in the palace forgot. In a royal court, being kind can be deadly. A rival child, no matter how young, can start a war in the future. Olympias was done waiting. With Cleopatra and her baby gone, she focused on making Alexander king, her son. Still a teen, but smart, brave, and already taught by Aristotle, was declared king with no serious fight. But it wasn't just luck or Philip's name. It was Olympias. She knew which generals to scare, which nobles to charm, and which enemies to remove without noise. She wasn't just helping her son rise. She was building the whole path. Alexander didn't always agree. He didn't like the killing of Cleopatra's family. But he didn't stop it either. Deep down, he knew what Olympias always knew. Power comes with blood. And in Macedon, family ties could bless you or curse you. Now that her son was king, Olympia stepped back a little. But she didn't retire. She just changed her way. Instead of open power, she used soft influence. While Alexander planned to conquer Persia, she stayed behind, not as a quiet queen mother, but as the protector of his destiny. She sent him sacred items, asked oracles, did holy rites for him. To Olympias, this was more than war. This was prophecy. Her son wasn't just fighting. He was fulfilling fate. And as long as she was alive, no one, Macedonian or Persian, would break that fate. She had put the crown on her son's head. She had cleaned the palace of threats. Now, from behind the curtain, she would protect his empire with her fangs ready.